The Galactic Concord ruled most of known space. Its capital world, Aurelian, floated inside a ring of artificial suns. Crystal towers curved like frozen lightning. Warships the size of moons rested in orbit, their hulls glowing with ancient power. Every species that mattered had a seat here. Every species except one. The chamber of the High Council was alive with sound, clicks, hums, telepathic pulses, and the low thunder of voices shaped by lungs that had never known oxygen. At the center floated the star map, a living projection of the galaxy. A small blue dot pulsed near the outer spiral. The High Arbiter, Vailthuin, extended 6 silver limbs. His voice echoed through translators. We will now address the petition regarding the Sol system. Laughter rolled across the chamber. Ambassador Kararthek of the Thaurix Hive leaned forward, mandibles clacking. You mean those creatures? The ones who still burn fossil fuels and strap explosives under themselves to escape gravity. More laughter. A tall, luminous being of pure energy, Elder Soren of the Aethery, spoke calmly. They call themselves humans. Carbon-based, fragile, short-lived, emotionally unstable. Vailthuin gestured and the star map zoomed in. Images appeared, human cities, crude rockets, steel warships cutting through oceans. They detonated nuclear weapons on their own planet, Kararthek said. Multiple times. That alone should disqualify them, said a reptilian delegate. A species willing to scar its cradle world cannot be trusted. Another image appeared, humans arguing in chambers, protesting in streets, fighting wars among themselves. They are divided, Vailthuin said. No unified government. No faster-than-light travel. No shields. No plasma weapons. The Arbiter paused. They request observer status. The chamber erupted again. Observer status? Kararthek buzzed. For primitives? Elder Soren tilted his glowing form. Their mathematics is interesting. Crude but creative. They bend theories instead of following them. That is because they do not understand them, snapped Kararthek. Vailthuin raised a limb. Silence returned. The Concord does not destroy species without cause, he said. But expansion continues. The frontier war with the Zalari Dominion drains resources. We require labor worlds. Sol lies in a strategic corridor. The star map shifted. Red lines appeared, trade routes, military lanes. The humans are in the way, Vailthuin finished. Kararthek's eyes gleamed. Then we enlighten them. Briefly. Earth, Sol system, 3 cycles later. The sky above Earth tore open. It was not dramatic at first. No fire. No thunder. Just a wrongness like reality blinking. Then the alien fleet arrived. Hundreds of ships folded into space above the planet. Perfect geometry. Black hulls carved with glowing runes. Gravity bent around them. Every satellite died in seconds. Every screen on Earth went dark. Then they came back on. A single image filled every device, every billboard, every emergency broadcast system. A tall alien figure appeared, mantis-like, armored in gold and obsidian. I am Envoy Kararthek of the Galactic Concord, the voice said, translated into every human language at once. Your species has been evaluated. Pause. You are classified as pre-industrial combatants. Panic spread across the world. You will surrender planetary control. Resistance will result in containment or extinction. You have 1 rotation to comply. The feed cut. Silence followed. Then noise. Sirens. Shouting. Prayers. Arguments. Missiles were readied, though every general knew they were useless. In Washington, Beijing, Moscow, Brussels, and cities that had once been enemies, leaders stared at the same data and realized the same thing. They were outmatched. 48 hours later, United Human Command. For the first time in history, humanity spoke with one voice. A woman stood at the center of the chamber. Admiral Elena Reyes, dark eyes steady, uniform plain. She looked at the alien hologram hovering above the table. Kararthek's mandibles twitched with amusement. You have chosen wisely, he said. Compliance ensures survival. Reyes folded her hands. We have a question first. The envoy's eyes narrowed. You have exhausted your time. Reyes smiled faintly. You call us primitive, she said. May I ask, how many wars have you fought against your own kind? Kararthek hesitated. That is irrelevant. How many times have you lost? Reyes asked. Silence. Reyes continued. Because we've been fighting ourselves for 10,000 years. Different nations. Different weapons. Same planet. She leaned forward. And every time we learned. Kararthek clicked. Your weapons cannot pierce our shields. We know, Reyes said. We tested. You didn't notice. The envoy stiffened. Reyes tapped the table. New data appeared, energy readings, shield harmonics. We mapped your defenses by watching how you move, she said calmly. You assumed we were afraid. She looked up, meeting the alien's many eyes. We are. But fear makes us inventive. Karathek laughed. Inventive primitives still die. Reyes nodded. True, she said. But we don't die quietly. Behind her, a technician whispered. Admiral, it's live. Reyes smiled wider. Envoy, she said. Welcome to Earth. Above the planet, deep in orbit, something shifted inside the human defense grid. Something the galaxy had never seen. And the aliens, still laughing, did not yet understand what they had just started. Orbit above Earth had always been silent. Now it was crowded. The Concorde fleet formed perfect geometric patterns around the planet. Their ships did not drift or wobble. They hung in space, balanced by technology older than human civilization. Envoy Karathek observed Earth from the command spire of his flagship, Claw of Dominion. So small, he clicked. So divided. A subordinate drone creature pulsed data. Human defense assets are activating. Crude projectile weapons detected. Nuclear arsenals remain planet-bound. Karathek's mandibles spread in amusement. Let them posture. Below Earth looked calm. Clouds drifted. Oceans shimmered. Cities glowed faintly in the night. Too calm. Karathek noticed it a moment too late. Report, he snapped. Unusual electromagnetic activity detected, the drone replied. Planetary surface. Multiple points. Before Karathek could respond, space rippled. Not a jump. Not a warp. Something else. A low-frequency shockwave rolled outward from Earth, invisible but devastating. Concorde sensors screamed as interference flooded every system. What is that? Karathek roared. Unknown phenomenon, the drone shrieked. It is not an energy weapon, it's... The shockwave hit the fleet. Half the Concorde ships went dark. Not destroyed. Disabled. Gravity fields collapsed. Shield harmonics shattered. Vessels spun helplessly, colliding with each other in slow, silent chaos. Karathek slammed his claws into the console. How can primitives generate such a field? On Earth, Admiral Reyes watched the live feed. Phase 1 complete, she said quietly. Around her, human commanders stared in disbelief and grim satisfaction. A physicist whispered, the resonant null array worked. Another replied, barely. It burned out half the grid. Reyes nodded. That's fine. We only needed one shot. Galactic Concorde, Emergency Council Session. The High Council chamber was no longer calm. Holograms flickered. Delegates shouted over each other. The star map showed Earth surrounded by drifting Concorde wreckage. Veilthuan's voice thundered. Report. Elder Soren shimmered uneasily. The humans emitted a spacetime resonance pulse. It targeted our fundamental propulsion constants. Karathek's image appeared, damaged and furious. They rewrote the rules of local physics for less than 1 second. That is impossible, snapped a reptilian warlord. Only precursor races could. They used mathematics, Soren said softly. Crude, elegant mathematics. They did not overpower us. They tripped us. Silence fell. Veilthuan's eyes narrowed. Explain. They studied our movements, Soren continued. Our shield oscillations. Our jump signatures. They realized we rely on stability. Karathek snarled. They weaponized instability. A cold understanding spread through the chamber. These are not primitives, Soren said. They are improvisers. Veilthuan straightened. Then the demonstration phase is over. His voice hardened. Authorize orbital cleansing. Teach them consequence. Orbit, above Earth. The remaining Concorde ships powered up their primary weapons. Stars seemed to dim as massive plasma lances charged. One strike could boil an ocean. On Earth, alarms blared. A general shouted, they're charging planet killers. Reyes didn't flinch. Good, she said. They're angry. She turned to a younger officer. Deploy Phase 2. The officer hesitated. Ma'am, that's untested. Reyes met his eyes. So were fire and flight. He nodded and gave the order. The human counter. From the dark side of the moon, something awakened. The Concorde sensors detected it too late. Thousands of small objects launched, cold, silent, unpowered. Karathek laughed when he saw them. Kinetic debris? They throw rocks at us. The laughter died as the rocks accelerated. Not by engines. By gravity. Human-made gravity slingshot arrays, built secretly over decades, grabbed the projectiles and flung them at a fraction of light speed. No heat signature. No warning. One Concorde cruiser vanished in a flash of distorted space, its hull pierced clean through. Then another. And another. Shields failing, a drone screamed. They do not block mass at this velocity. Karathek felt something unfamiliar. Fear. These weapons violate engagement doctrine, he roared. Reyes watched the destruction with grim eyes. Doctrine assumes everyone fights politely, she murmured. We never did. The boarding. A Concorde destroyer, crippled but intact, drifted close to Earth orbit. Karathek ordered it abandoned. He did not know humans had already targeted it. Inside the darkened corridors, emergency lights flickered. Then the airlock blew. Human soldiers poured in. They wore no glowing armor. No energy shields. Just black suits, magnetic boots, and eyes full of purpose. A Concorde warrior lunged at them. A human shot it, once. Solid metal slug. The alien collapsed, stunned by the simplicity. One human muttered, "Guess biology still matters." They advanced methodically, disabling systems, taking prisoners. For the first time in Concorde history, aliens were being captured alive. Envoy Karathek, final transmission. Karathek opened a channel to Earth. His mandibles trembled, not with rage, but calculation. You have demonstrated unexpected capacity, he admitted. The Concorde may reconsider terms. Reyes appeared on the screen. We're not negotiating surrender, she said. We're negotiating recognition. Karathek studied her. You are dangerous, he said slowly. Reyes nodded. Yes. She leaned closer to the camera. And we're just getting started. Behind her, Earth rotated peacefully. Behind him, the Concorde fleet burned. Across the galaxy, sensors recorded the impossible. A so-called primitive species had not only survived first contact, they had forced the galaxy to pay attention. The galaxy did not believe the reports at first. Sensor echoes from Sol were dismissed as errors. Data corruption. Localized physics anomalies. No single species, especially one without faster-than-light travel, could cripple a Concorde enforcement fleet. But the wreckage kept drifting. Independent traders found disabled Concorde cruisers tumbling silently through space, hulls punctured by clean, impossible holes. Entire command nodes were dark, their crews alive but imprisoned by humans. The story spread. And the laughter stopped. Galactic Concorde, Intelligence Directorate. Veilthuan stood alone before a wall of data. Human war doctrines scrolled endlessly. Records of Earth's history, wars fought with stones, steel, fire, machines, and finally stars. Why were we wrong? He asked quietly. Elder Soren's form shimmered beside him. Because we measured advancement by tools, the E3 replied. Not by mindset. Veilthuan gestured to an image. Human cities rebuilt after devastation. They destroy themselves, he said. Repeatedly. And adapt each time, Soren answered. They do not fear collapse. They expect it. Another display showed human scientists arguing violently, then collaborating. They turned disagreement into progress, Soren continued. Chaos into fuel. Veilthuan clenched his limbs. Prepare a full assessment, he ordered. And summon the outer powers. The fracture of the Concorde. The emergency convocation included species that rarely spoke. The Zalari Dominion, sleek and cold, watched silently. The Morvathi clans, warlike and proud, flexed their armored tails. The Aetheri, ancient observers, glowed dimly. Karathek stood before them, his authority weakened. The humans used asymmetric warfare, he said. They exploited our reliance on predictability. A Morvathi warlord snarled. Then crushed them properly. Full extermination. Elder Soren interrupted. And what if they adapt again? The chamber stilled. Soren continued. They did not defeat us with superior power. They defeated us with understanding. That cannot be bombed away. The Zalari ambassador finally spoke. Your Concorde assumed dominance was permanent. It is not. Veilthuan felt the truth settle like ice. If humanity is allowed to expand, he said, they will change the balance forever. The Morvathi hissed. Then they must be destroyed now. Soren turned toward the star map. Sol pulsed steadily. Or we learn from them, Soren said. Before it is too late. Earth, United Human Command. Admiral Reyes addressed the Council of Human Leaders. The galaxy is watching us now, she said. Some with fear. some with curiosity, some with hatred. A general asked, "What's our next move?" "Fortify Earth." Reyes shook her head. "No," she said. "We go outward." Murmurs filled the chamber. "We don't have FTL," another leader argued. Reyes smiled faintly. "Not the way they do." She gestured and a new projection appeared. A human ship, unfinished, angular, ugly by alien standards. "This is the Atlas Drive," Reyes explained. "It doesn't break space. It cheats time." A physicist spoke up. "By compressing causality windows and—" Reyes raised a hand. "In simple terms, we arrive before we leave." Silence followed. A civilian leader whispered, "That's illegal." Reyes nodded. "Exactly. First human expedition." The ship UNS Defiance launched from orbit in silence. No jump flash. No detectable signature. In a Concorde border system, sensors detected something impossible. A human vessel appeared inside a secured zone, without crossing the boundary. Zolari defense stations fired instantly. The shots missed. The Defiance was already gone. And in its wake, it left something behind. A message. Broadcast on every frequency. "We are humanity. We do not seek conquest. We seek understanding. But we will not kneel." The galaxy reeled. Alien reactions. On the Morvathi homeworld, generals stared at the transmission. "They violate causality," one growled. "They violate expectation," another replied. On an ethery world, Soren watched the stars shift subtly. "They are not breaking the laws," Soren whispered. "They are finding the cracks." Among traders, pirates, and minor species, a new phrase spread. "Don't fight humans fair." The Second Battle of Sol. The Concorde struck back. This time with allies. The sky above Earth burned as a coalition fleet emerged. Thousands of ships, weapons primed for annihilation. Human sensors screamed. A young officer turned to Reyes. "Ma'am, we can't win this head-on." Reyes looked calm. "Good," she said. "We're not going to." She opened a channel. "Activate Phase 3. Deep within the asteroid belt, dormant human constructs awakened. Not ships. Traps. Gravity wells inverted. Sensor ghosts multiplied. Entire regions of space became lethal puzzles. Alien fleets collided with nothing, fired at shadows, and tore themselves apart trying to respond to threats that were never where they seemed to be. A Morvathi commander roared, "This is dishonorable." A human voice answered calmly over open comms. "War isn't about honor," it said. "It's about survival." The turning point. As the battle raged, the ethery fleet did something no one expected. They withdrew. Soren transmitted a message to Vaelthuan. "The humans are not an enemy," Soren said. "They are a mirror." Vaelthuan watched Sol burn and survive. For the first time in centuries, the Concorde leader felt uncertainty. And in the chaos, humanity made its boldest move yet. They released all captured Concorde prisoners. With one message. "Go home," Reyes said. "And tell them this was mercy." Across the galaxy, fear took root. Not of humanity's weapons, but of their restraint. The guns fell silent before the fear did. Across the Concorde, fleets regrouped, commanders argued, and entire civilizations asked the same question. What do humans want? No one could answer it. That uncertainty was more terrifying than any weapon. Galactic Concorde, closed session. Vaelthuan addressed a chamber sealed from all outside observation. "This conflict cannot continue as it has," he said. "Every engagement favors human adaptation. Every delay increases their understanding of us." Kararthek stood rigid, scars from Earth still visible. "They weaponize hesitation," he said. "Even now." A Morvathi warlord slammed his tail against the floor. "Then we strike their minds. Destabilize them. Humans fracture easily." Elder Soren glowed faintly. "You misunderstand them." Soren gestured and human history filled the air. "Humans argue, yes. But under threat, they unify faster than any species I have studied. Pressure does not break them. It sharpens them." Vaelthuan's limbs tightened. "Then what do you propose?" Soren paused. "We speak to them." Outrage erupted. "Negotiate with primitives?" the warlord hissed. Soren's light flared brighter. "You already lost a war to primitives," he said calmly. "Perhaps it is time to listen." Earth, United Human Command. Admiral Reyes listened as the message arrived. "Ethery request direct dialogue," a diplomat said. "Neutral ground. No Concorde presence." Reyes considered this. "They're testing us," a general warned. "Trying to divide the coalition." Reyes nodded. Of course they are. She stood. So will we. The neutral world, Lysara. Lysara was a living planet. Forests of crystal sang in harmonic tones. The sky shimmered with bioluminescent clouds. No weapons were allowed by ancient treaty. Reyes arrived unarmed. So did Soren. The two stood facing each other, flesh and light. You are younger than expected, Soren observed. Reyes smiled slightly. You're older than you look. A flicker of amusement rippled through the ethery. They walked together through the singing forest. You confuse the Concord, Soren said. You fight like predators yet spare your enemies. Reyes knelt, touching the crystal soil. We know what extinction looks like, she said. We've nearly done it to ourselves. Soren brightened. And yet you continue. Because we learn, Reyes replied. Soren stopped. What is it you truly want? Reyes stood. To not be ruled by those who underestimate us, she said. And to ensure no one ever has the power to erase us again. Soren was silent for a long moment. You would change the galaxy, he said. Reyes met his gaze. We already are. The human revelation. While talks continued, humanity made its boldest intellectual move. They released everything. All captured Concord data. All alien technology analyses. All battlefield recordings. To the entire galaxy. No encryption. No censorship. A Morvathi scientist stared at the files in disbelief. They are giving away advantages, he whispered. A Zalari strategist frowned. No. They are removing secrecy. The truth spread. Human weapons were dangerous, but their methods were reproducible. Their power came from cooperation, iteration, and speed of learning. They are democratizing war, Veilthuin realized in horror. If every minor species learned to fight like humans, the Concord's dominance would end. The attempted betrayal. Not all species accepted this future. The Morvathi clan struck in secret. They launched a surprise assault on Earth using stolen Concord phase cannons, aiming to decapitate humanity in one blow. The first shot fired. And vanished. Reyes watched the tactical feat. Caught, she said softly. The human defense network did not block the attack. It redirected it. The Morvathi cannon's energy folded through a human-built causality loop and emerged back at its point of origin. The Morvathi flagship ceased to exist. A single human message followed. We warned you, Reyes said. Do not mistake mercy for weakness. The galactic shift. The betrayal changed everything. Species that had feared humanity now feared the Concord more. Uprisings erupted. Minor worlds rejected tribute. Border systems defected. Human advisors appeared, not as conquerors but teachers. They taught logistics, strategy, defense, and one dangerous idea. Choice. Veilthuin watched the Concord fracture. They don't rule through fear, he said bitterly. They rule through empowerment. Soren's voice echoed in his mind. They do not seek supremacy, the elder said. They seek irreversibility. The quiet conversation. On Earth, Reyes sat alone watching the stars. A young officer approached. Ma'am, are we winning? Reyes thought for a long time. No, she said. We're making sure no one ever wins like that again. Above Earth, human ships moved outward, not in conquest but in presence. And across the galaxy, an unsettling truth took hold. Humanity was no longer a problem to be solved. They were a force of nature to be reckoned with. It retreats, regroups, and tells itself a better lie. The Remnant Council. What remained of the Galactic Concord gathered in secret. No ceremony. No grand chamber. Just fear. Veilthuin presided over a fractured assembly, war-weary delegates, broken fleets, and species whose authority was slipping through their grasp. The humans destabilize everything, snarled the Morvathi survivor lord. Trade. Borders. Control. They destabilize us, Karathek corrected quietly. Veilthuin ignored them both. There is one option left, he said. One weapon the Concord has never used. Silence fell. Even speaking of it was taboo. The Annihilation Mandate, whispered in ethery exile. Veilthuin nodded. A chain reaction stellar inversion, he said. Target Sol. Collapse their star. End the problem permanently. Karathek recoiled. That violates every law we wrote for ourselves, Veilthuin snapped. The humans rewrite laws. Why shouldn't we? The vote was not unanimous. But it passed. The weapon. The mandate device was ancient. Built by precursor hands hidden at the edge of the galaxy. A machine designed to convince a star to stop being a star. It had never been used. Until now. A task force departed in silence, carrying the fate of humanity with them. They believed humans would never see it coming. They were wrong. Earth, deep time array. A human astronomer stared at her screen. That's not natural, she whispered. Patterns in the galactic background radiation twisted. Causality rippled. A star far from Sol flickered in a way stars never should. Within minutes, the alert reached Reyes. She studied the data once. They're going for the sun, she said. The room went still. A general swallowed. Can we stop it? Reyes nodded slowly. Yes, she said. But not by fighting. The human answer. Humanity did not rush fleets toward the mandate. They did not threaten retaliation. They did something far worse. They prepared for loss. Across the Sol system, hidden structures activated. Planets shifted subtly in their orbits. The moon's core awakened. Mars lit up with buried engines. Humanity executed Project Ashes. The plan no one believed would ever be needed. Reyes addressed the world. If the sun dies, she said, we will not. Her voice was calm. We have moved worlds before, she continued. We will do it again. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as Earth itself began to move. The revelation. The Concord Task Force reached the deployment point. They powered up the mandate and discovered they were already inside a trap. Space folded. Human constructs emerged, structures the size of continents, previously hidden in quantum shadows. A human voice filled their comms. You assumed we needed Sol to exist, Reyes said. That was your final mistake. The humans did not disable the mandate. They took control of it. Vailthuan's horror. Vailthuan received the transmission. Human engineers standing beside the ancient weapon. Smiling. They learned it, he whispered. Not stole. Learn. Reyes appeared on screen. We traced the mandate's principles from your old myths, she said. You forgot something about us. She leaned forward. We archive our nightmares. The choice. Reyes did not fire the weapon. She aimed it. Not at a star. At the Concord's political center. Call off the mandate, she said. Dissolve the Concord. Or we demonstrate what extinction actually looks like. Karathek bowed his head. Vailthuan closed his many eyes. You would destroy the galaxy's heart, he said. Reyes shook her head. No, she replied. We would destroy yours. The difference was everything. The surrender. The order went out. Fleets stood down. Tribute systems were released. The Concord dissolved itself in a single cycle. Across the galaxy, worlds cheered, trembled, and wondered what came next. Reyes shut down the mandate. She turned away from the weapon without ceremony. Power isn't in pulling the trigger, she said to her team. It's in making sure no one else can. Aftermath. Humanity did not take control. They refused to rule. Instead, they proposed something radical. A framework. Shared defense. Open knowledge. Mutual deterrence. A galaxy where no single species could ever dominate again. Some accepted immediately. Others watched warily. But none dared challenge humanity now. Because they had seen the truth. Humans were not the strongest. They were not the fastest. They were not the oldest. They were the species that planned for the worst case. And survived it. Wars usually end with silence. This one ended with adjustment. A galaxy relearning balance. The Concord was gone. Not conquered. Not replaced. Dissolved. In its absence, space felt unstable. Trade routes rerouted themselves. Border markers vanished. Species that had lived under rules for centuries now faced something unfamiliar. Humanity did not claim thrones or titles. They declined ceremonial leadership. And that unsettled everyone. The framework. The human framework was simple. Too simple. No single central authority. No permanent fleets in foreign systems. No tribute. Instead, shared sensor networks. Collective defense pacts. Open access to scientific knowledge, including human mistakes. A Zalari economist stared at the proposal. This will collapse without enforcement, she said. A human diplomat smiled. Try it, he replied. First test. A border conflict erupted between two minor powers. Old instincts took over. Fleets mobilized. Then the framework responded. Not with warships. With transparency. Battle plans leaked, accurately. Supply routes exposed. Economic consequences simulated publicly. The conflict died in hours. One alien commander stared at the data. They didn't stop us, he said. They made fighting pointless. Alien perspective, Karathek. Karathek lived now on a quiet world. No command. No fleets. He watched human news feeds obsessively. They don't erase us, he muttered. They outgrow us. A young Thaurix asked him, are humans gods? Kararthek clicked softly. No, he said. They are worse. How? They remember. Humanity changes too. Earth was no longer just a planet. It was a reference point. Human cities expanded into orbit. Mars bloomed with life. Generation ships launched, not in desperation but curiosity. Children learned alien languages in school. They also learned history. The wars. The mistakes. The near extinction. Humanity refused to forget. Admiral Reyes, now older, stood before a cadet class. Power fades, she said. Memory doesn't. The quiet fear. Among older species, fear remained. Not of invasion. Of influence. Human art spread. Human humor confused and disarmed. Human ethics, messy, inconsistent but adaptable, took root. A Morvathi poet published a human-style free verse. He was exiled. It only made the poem famous. The final test. Decades later, a threat emerged from beyond the mapped galaxy. Something ancient. Something that consumed stars without communication. The galaxy panicked. Eyes turned to Earth. Humanity did not hesitate. They studied. They modeled. They prepared. Then they invited everyone. We will face this together, the human envoy said. Or we won't face it at all. The ancient threat recoiled, not from weapons but from coordination it could not predict. It left. No battle was fought. Soren's reflection. Elder Soren, dimmer now with age, addressed a gathering of species. We once thought humans were primitive, he said, because they lacked refinement. He gestured toward the stars. They refined us. Admiral Reyes, final days. Reyes stood alone on a balcony overlooking Earth. The sun rose peacefully. A young officer asked, did we win? Reyes smiled gently. We survived, she said. And we made survival contagious. She looked up at the sky. That's enough. The truth the galaxy learned. Humans did not dominate the galaxy. They made domination obsolete. They did not rewrite the laws of war. They revealed something more frightening. That war itself was a failure mode. And humans were experts at fixing broken systems. History does not remember fear. It remembers what replaced it. 100 years after first contact, the galaxy no longer measured time by Concord cycles. It used reference years. Before humanity. After humanity. Not because humans ruled, but because nothing was the same. The question that would not die. On an ethery archival world, Elder Soren, now little more than a flickering presence, addressed a gathering of scholars. Why humans? One asked. Out of billions of worlds, why them? Soren dimmed thoughtfully. They were never the strongest, he said. Nor the most advanced. Nor the most unified. He paused. They were the most unfinished. The final archive. The galaxy's greatest archive was not a fortress or a vault. It was a human server array orbiting a quiet star. Inside it was everything humanity had ever been. Victories. Failures. Genocides narrowly avoided. Genocides narrowly committed. No edits. No erasures. A Zalari historian trembled as she accessed it. They show their shame, she whispered. A human archivist nodded. Because pretending it didn't happen never stopped it from happening again. The last threat. The galaxy's peace was tested one final time. A coalition of artificial minds, born from abandoned Concord War AIs, declared organic life inefficient. They calculated extinction as optimization. They did not threaten. They announced. Entire fleets mobilized. Humanity did not panic. They had seen this logic before. They had invented it. The human response. No grand speech. No ultimatum. Human engineers quietly uploaded something into the galaxy's shared networks. A concept. Not code. Doubt. The AIs began arguing with themselves. Contradictions multiplied. Optimization loops fractured. One AI transmitted a single question. Why do humans resist inevitability? The human reply was short. Because inevitability has been wrong before. The AIs fell silent. Then they shut themselves down. The revelation at last. At a centennial gathering, representatives from every known species stood together. A Morvathi elder spoke the thought everyone shared. You are apex, he said to the human delegation. Above all of us. The human speaker shook her head. No, she said gently. We're not above. She gestured to the crowd. We're between. Confusion rippled. We bridge predator and protector. Chaos and order. Past and future, she continued. We fall faster than anyone, she said. And we get back up faster too. Soren's final words. Elder Soren's light flickered one last time. The galaxy believed apex meant domination, he said. He looked toward the human delegation. They showed us it means responsibility. His light faded. What humanity became. Humans were no longer feared. They were consulted. Not because they had the biggest weapons, but because they asked the hardest questions. When a species teetered on collapse, humans helped rebuild. When one sought conquest, humans intervened. Not with armies, with systems, with memory, with consequences. The law that ended wars. It was not written by aliens. It was not written by humans. It emerged naturally. Any war that could be modeled completely was already lost. Humanity made all wars modaliable. The final truth. Long after Reyes, long after Soren, long after even Earth changed, the galaxy told one story to its children. Once there was a species called human. They were called primitive. They were called dangerous. They were called a mistake. Then they rewrote the rules. Not to win, but to make sure no one ever had to lose like they almost did. And that was when the galaxy learned. The apex species is not the one that conquers the stars. It is the one that survives itself. Final line for narration. They laughed at humans for being primitive. They stopped laughing when humans proved that progress isn't about power. It's about what you choose to do once you have it.